Hey, Karl here. Today we're going to be talking about the Sony A7V. Rumors, gossip, truths? I don't know. Let's talk about it. I'm going to touch briefly on past iterations and the possible items that are going to be coming in the near future, I believe, for the A7V. So I own the A7 III and the A7 IV. Both of those cameras were great. The A7 III I think was probably my favorite camera I may have ever had, besides my A7S II and A7S III. It was like a hybrid camera. It was great. It was like the first camera that I started to make money with, the first camera that really allowed me to do something different than just take photos or just do video. It was the true hybrid camera. It had a hybrid log gamma, which was a new codec at the time, basically kind of like before a Cinetone. It was the thing to have. I loved hybrid log gamma. HLG2, I think, was what I used the most. Had great dynamic range, great camera. When the A7 IV came out, I already had the A7S III and previously before that, the Canon R5, and it was not a step back, just not as big of a deal as the A7 III was or the A7S III was at the time. It improved on the A7 III as far as the sensor. The A7 IV had some big changes to it. It had a 33 megapixel sensor versus the 24 that was found on the A7 III. You could finally shoot 4K 60 instead of just 4K 24 or 30. Obviously it had a full frame sensor with 7K oversampling for that 4K 30 resolution. I owned this camera for about 6 months or so. In that time, I shot a couple weddings with it. I took it to Europe with me. I did some various photo shoots and a couple of B camera setups to shoots that I had. At the time, I did not own the FX6. I was still trying to decide if I wanted to buy an FX6 or not. And so I had the A7S III and the A7 IV at the time. It did a lot of great things, but it wasn't great at anything. It wasn't like the best of anything. I could take, as far as resolution goes, no, but I could take just as good photos on my A7S III, and the A7S III video quality was better, especially with that low light, than the A7 IV. So I didn't see the need to keep it besides a B camera, but then it ended up getting the FX6. So it was kind of like I could have 3 cameras, but I had to get rid of it. It just made sense at the time. But will the A7V bring people like me back into the fold of buying those A7 cameras? And I think that it could potentially be there because I think they're going to make some incremental changes, but also a couple of really big ones because it is kind of a testing field for their future cameras to kind of see like what's coming next, and things kind of trickle down from these cameras in the past. So let's go through all of these things that I'm talking about and kind of see what we have. The first thing I think we're going to upgrade is the sensor. I think we're going to go with a little bit higher resolution this time around. I can see it being in that like 40, 44 range, 44 megapixels. So right off the bat, we're going to be jumping up from 33 to 44 megapixels from the A7 IV to the A7V. I think we're going to see the 4K 120 in this camera without a crop, because I think that we're trying to cater to the cheaper cameras that are able to do this now. Some of those are APS-C sensors, but with the A7V, I think they're going to try to make that, hybrid model 4K 120 without a crop internally. Easy one, autofocus. They're definitely going to upgrade the autofocus system to the newest AI autofocus that the A7V has. It's just a no-brainer. It's going to trickle down from that to the next thing. You're going to get all those different capabilities within that autofocus system. This one I'm pretty excited about, if they actually go this way, is the continuous shooting modes in the A7V. The A7 IV and the A7 III, for that matter, had 10 frames per second shooting modes, and it'd be nice to be able to have like that 15 to 20 range for continuous shooting. As a hybrid shooter, that would be awesome if you're doing any kind of sports or wildlife or things of that nature. Obviously, it's not the begin-all, end-all for like a wedding photographer, but it is nice to have, if you were a wedding photographer, to have that high frames per second. If you're catching the bouquet or couples running towards you or something, like, it'd just be nice to have that with that AI autofocus system. Yeah, game over for a hybrid shooter for like weddings or events or things like that. The upgraded internal image stabilization. Say that 5 times fast. I think that this will be the same as the A7R5 and potentially even better with 8 stops of internal stabilization. We're going to get better and better stabilization in these cameras moving forward. I think that they figured it out between software and then mechanical. It's just going to happen. You're going to get better image stabilization internally, which is awesome. It's so nice to have a stabilized look when you're shooting something with unstabilized lenses. Like if I'm shooting on my 24 millimeter f1.4 right now on my A7S III right there, it works great. If I'm shooting on this, my FX6, it's a shaky mess. I do all kinds of things to mitigate that. I personally like that in some things. Other things, I definitely don't want to have that shakiness, but I'll use an easy rig or gimbal or something like that if I'm using my FX6 with these unstabilized lenses. So yeah, definitely going to see an increase in image stabilization, which the A7 IV was already great. Design elements. This one, I think, is going to be a big one for the A7 V. I touched on this in a previous video, I think on the FX3 video, that these little batteries are starting to get long in the tooth, and I could see Sony changing up their battery system here soon. These batteries are great, I will say that, but with new features, new AI, continuous shooting modes, 4K 120, the continuous, I mean, who knows, maybe some raw, maybe better image stabilization. Those are going to be all those features are going to start to be more and more taxing on these batteries. And I could see them going to a either newer, bigger battery, or, I mean, keeping it the same size because battery tech is getting smaller, but then the batteries are getting, more powerful. So I could see them going with something like that. It's kind of time to change up the batteries, I think, a standpoint, like an investor standpoint. Like there needs to be something new. They already do that with the hand grips. They changed the body style just a little bit on the A9, which required a new hand extended grip for it. So you can't use the same ones off the A7S III or A7R5 or A7 IV for that matter. You have to upgrade to the new battery grip. So I could see them, here's the only caveat to that, is that they just came out with that new battery grip. So they're not going to do a one-off and ruin that sale of that battery grip. Maybe they change up the battery, but every new body is going to have that same A9 III body from here on out. The A7R6, the A75, the A7S IV, those are all going to have that same body as the A9 III going forward. Let's just talk about the pricing of it. So the A7 IV was $24.99, and who knows where we're going to be when this thing actually comes out. Tariffs wise, inflation wise, I could see this camera being in that $3 to $35 range moving forward. It would be ideal if they kept it in that like $29.95 range, like almost $3,000, or technically $3,000. That would be ideal because it wouldn't be such a drastic jump from the $24.99, but it would still be able to let people kind of like in the door at that $3,000 mark. And then if you pair it with a pretty good lens combination, the 24 to 105, or let's say they come out with the new 24 to 105 f2.8 or something along those lines, and they pair it with that, or maybe even a V2 of the 24 to 105 with an aperture ring and new internals and stuff like that. I think that that'll be a good place to start, because then you're looking at that $4,000 mark for like a really great package. If they can keep it at that $24.99 range, which I doubt they can in today's world, that'd blow everybody away. 4K 120, 44 megapixels, great image stabilization, great AI autofocus, all for $2,500. Game over. People would obviously flock back to that Sony ecosystem for a camera like that. I do wholeheartedly think that. Release time, I mean, we were looking at, I keep hearing or reading about delays or things of that nature. I could see we were supposed to be in that like March of 25, which we've already passed that now. And then I've heard April, which we're already past that now. I'm thinking more along the lines of November of this year before the holidays, or even potentially early in 2026 for this camera. Why so long? I don't know. I don't know what the holdup is on technology, chips, the world, economy. I don't know. That kind of stuff is outside of my pay grade. But I think that is probably the trajectory of this camera, is somewhere close to the end of this year or first part of next year. I would be very surprised if I saw an August or June, July, August release. I don't think that it would be that case, but you never know. Sony sometimes just comes out with things randomly that we don't even know what's happening. But yeah. So this is where I'm going to open up to you guys. What do you think of this camera? Do you think the A7 V will be coming out this year? What features and benefits do you think it'll bring with it? I'd love to have your input on this. Let me know your thoughts and, keyboard it away. Let me know what you think. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.